So now we're going to add a prediction or a forecast onto our trend line graph. So the first thing that I did was I added dates that I wanted to do predictions for, and then I'm going to have the computer predict the numbers by kind of averaging based on what we already have with the actual data points. So I'm going to highlight what I have, and then I'm going to hover my mouse over the point in the bottom cell and drag down to add predicted data points. Now you notice when it does this, these numbers have a lot of decimal points, and I'm not really working with decimal points on my numbers. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to just change this, and I can click on these little icons to increase or decrease decimal places. So I'm just going to decrease them to get rid of all my decimal places. The other thing is when I'm looking at the numbers, I'm feeling like, okay, it's showing that it's predicting that it's going to continue to increase because that's how the trend has been going. But I actually, based on the data and research, I feel like the cases could fall off. So I'm going to change some of the predicted points just to give it a little bit more variety into the line. Now you'll notice that nothing really happened and nothing changed on my graph yet. So what I'm going to need to do is double click on my graph, and I'm going to go to setup, and you'll notice the data range for what's being graphed is cell A2, which starts up here, and it goes down, let's go back here, whoops, under setup, it goes down to B21, so it comes down to B21, right, B21. So really now I have new points that go all the way to B25. So I'm going to need to change that range to include the points that I've predicted. So I'm going to go just click OK, and you'll notice that my graph immediately changes and adds those points. However, currently they look like real data points, not like a predicted or forecasted data point. So I need to change my graph to have it look and actually display that it's a forecast. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to take these predicted points out of this column. So I'm just going to right click and say cut them. I'm going to cut them right out, and I created a new column called forecast, and I'm going to paste them into my forecast column. Okay, now they haven't shown up here on my graph yet. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to double click on my graph, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to need, right now I'm only showing the number of cases. If I want to show the predicted as like a different item, like a different menu item, I'm going to have to come up here and add a new series. So under setup, I'm going to click add series, and I'm going to add my series by highlighting it. So I'm going to take my mouse and I'm going to include the title, and I'm going to highlight this entire column to show that it's a different series on the graph. And so what it did was it actually created, this is the graphed lines, and it actually created an item for the legend as well. But I want to customize this because that looks a little weird being red and not having data points. So when I come to customize, I'm going to go to my series, and I want to customize just the forecast. So I'm going to click forecast here. Instead of the line being red, I want to differentiate it from the trend line. So I'm going to make it green. You can make it any color. And then I'm going to put the same point size on here that I have for the rest of my graph. So now on my graph, you can see that these are the actual data points. This is my trend line, and then the green is the forecasted future predicted data points. And that's how you do your graph.